Hey there, super friends. This is Joey with Last Point Gaming. Today is Thursday, February 15th. 2018. If you want to connect with us on social media, you can subscribe to our Last Point Gaming YouTube channel. You can friend up our Last Point Gaming Facebook account. You can follow us on Twitter at Last Point Gaming. You can follow me personally on Twitter at Stranger Sparrow. Or you can always reach out directly with an email to lastpointgaming@gmail.com. I really need to look to see if there's a way I can, if I add a description on Spreaker and push out to all my sources, if it automatically adds the description to YouTube and SoundCloud and all that happy trash, so that I can stop going through this every episode. Though I don't know, every other podcast I've listened to all seem to have an intro that they do every time. It's probably a clip that they add to the front, which I could do if I didn't start with the date. Maybe I'll experiment with a new format to the intro so that the date's at the end, so I can pre-record all that other stuff and just have it attach it to the front. I think Spreaker has the ability to do that. I don't know. Guess we're gonna find out. I've become it's not even that I'm unhappy in my job. I love what I do. My team's great. I got a good working environment. I'm happy with it for right now. But I'm concerned about whether or not I have a future with this company, a career path. Or am I always just going to be at this level? And how do I feel about that? Anyway, this has made me really think about how I do this content creation and everything. I don't know. I've never thought of it as I'm going to try to monetize this. I mean, I just always figured, I guess if enough people listen, I might as well be all right, guys, I'm just going to stick some ads in here or whatever. But I don't know. It's always been this kind of loose for funsies thing. In fact, if you've been here from the beginning, or that's a green arrow. I'm trying to go straight. Or even just been here for the last couple months, you can tell I talk about cards and I don't even know the names of them. I get card descriptions wrong. It's real loose and unscripted and whatever. Anyway, forget all that. Good news is I got a little more sleep last night. Not really enough for a full recharge, but I feel much less dead today, so that's good. I gotta be careful putting my window too far down. I forgot that the window interferes with the recording quality. It's really nice today here in central Pennsylvania. It's 62 degrees right now. It's about 5:30. And that's awesome, except somebody broke it to me today that apparently we're expecting snow on fucking Saturday. Because that's how this winter's been for us. God. I have trust issues because of the fucking weather. I'm oh God, it's cold, it's cold, it's cold. Oh, it's nice today. Spring must be, descending upon us. And winter's haha, I got you. I'm shit. It's obnoxious, I tell you. Anyway, none of that matters. No sleepover for the kids this weekend, unfortunately, so I'm just going to take Boo to F&M with me. Which she'll be excited about. I didn't even mention to them that there was a possibility, so they wouldn't be disappointed. They were, supposed to go last Friday, and, we packed the bag before I left for work Friday morning, because my parents were supposed to come pick them up before I got home from work. And they have had some issues with some new appliance installation in their house and stuff. I don't want to get too deep into it because I don't know how they'd feel about that, but yeah, it's been a long couple of weeks for them too. So they had to cancel And then my mom really wanted them to come over this week, but they're still dealing with repercussions of this issue they had. And she's not feeling well, probably from all the stress that this has been causing her. So I suggested we, just keep putting it off since I hadn't mentioned it to them or anything. And it's not like they'll be disappointed. I'll just take Boo with me, and husband will take Bird out and probably take her wherever she wants to get dinner, which is just exciting for her because she is such a passive personality and Boo is such a dominant personality that often Boo ends up kind of dictating where we get dinner, either by aggression or subtle cajoling. Like, man, that kid learns to focus shit, she's gonna take over the goddamn world. It's gonna be great. I just gotta make sure, she likes me. But anyway, all that's neither here nor there, so I'm excited to go to F&M tomorrow. Cannot be any worse than how last week turned out for me. So my losing streak's gotten slightly better this week. This week hasn't been a complete dumpster fire. But why am I getting text messages? Just kind of a mild dumpster smoldering. I definitely feel better now that I got a little bit extra sleep, extra from where I was at. Feel a little more rested and whatever. Because, man, you ever notice that? Like, how when shit's going sideways, it's just so much worse if you're tired. And the more tired you are, the more likely shit is going to go sideways because you're going to fuck shit up because you're, not all there. Still got some complex adult decisions to make. Ugh. Adulting's lame. Fucking sucks. It's the worst ever. But, what do I got to talk about gaming-wise today? So, new deck on the block in Modern because the unbannings have taken effect in MTGO. It's Turbolands, and I got to ask Ross Merriam, and also, incidentally, Todd Stevens, because luckily Todd's the one who answered it, another stupid question this week. Because I was tuning into Todd's stream even though it didn't start until way later than he said it would. Damn it, Todd. They were playing Turbolands, and every time I hear lands, I associate with Legacy, of course. No, this is Modern deck. They managed a turn 2 Jace. Yeah, by the way, if the stream's still going, go check out the Todd and Ross show. It's the best ever. Like, I enjoy Todd Stevens' stream in general, but I get really excited when I see Ross Merriam on it with him. Don't back into my car, please. Thank you. I appreciate that. But yeah, they managed a turn 2 Jace. So everybody who's like, oh, he's 4 CMC, by turn 4 the game's over? Yeah, how about that? Now, granted, they managed to do this with like a 3-card combo. Well, a land. I don't think it really particularly matters which land. With a Utopia Sprawl and an Arbor Elf. So, turn 1, Arbor Elf. Turn 2, play second land. Cast Utopia Sprawl on untapped land. Tap it for a blue and whatever. Oh, it has to be a forest type, because Arbor Elf only untaps target forest, I think. But yeah, untap target forest type land with Utopia Sprawl on it. Retap for blue and whatever. Name blue with the Utopia Sprawl. And there you go. There's your turn 2 fucking Jace the Mind Sculptor. But nah. He's gonna be completely fine in Modern. Not broken at all. Yeah. This is... Ugh. I'm already not looking forward to this. of course, you know, I haven't been looking forward to it since they announced it, so. But another exciting for me Modern news, it's either starting next week or in 2 weeks. I think it's next week. The guild's going to try to bring back Modern F&M. They're going to try to run both Modern and Standard again. So that's super exciting. Boo is going to be crazy fucking excited about it, as she now has a Modern deck. She has Naya Burn, which, I don't know how that's going to stack up against Jace decks, and there's going to be Jace decks all over my fucking shop, but that's alright. She's still in the excited phase of playing, that she just doesn't care about losing. She's like, whatever, I lost, that's fine. And I think crossing over format will kind of renew the time period we get before she starts getting upset that she's losing. I mean, honestly, I think at this point, playing is more about going to the shop. It's more about the community to her than it is about the game. Which is why she doesn't care about losing. And that's how I was for a couple of years, that I went and paid $10 to lose every match, every week. But it was nice to, you know, hang around the shop and feel that community and that acceptance. Because my shop's fucking great. Seriously, cannot say enough good things about our community. Now, we do have our issues. Things happen. Sometimes people have a bad night, and, you know, maybe they're having a rough go in their personal life or whatever, so they just kind of snap and say some things they don't mean and whatever, and we gotta address it. But in general, it's a great crew out there. But yeah, I'm super excited about that. I'm also kind of excited about SCG Indy this weekend. Did I already talk about this? I don't know if I did or not. Now, of course, this is going to be the last weekend of events before the unbanning happens in paper. So there seem to be really mixed feelings about that. I know when they announced the ban or the unbanning, Todd Stevens had commented that, like, now he may not even bother going to SCG Indy. And somebody pointed out that that the unbanning didn't take effect until afterwards. I am still a bit drained on sleep, so there's going to be some of those blank spots where I have to take a minute to refocus. I'm just not dead and whiny anymore, so that's an improvement, right? Hope so. Anyway, but then Cedric Phillips also had a thread on this, and I actually saw Ross Merriam had commented that their thought is it would be nice if the unbans would have taken effect immediately, because now SCG Indy for the pro players is just about that event. It's like the last standard tournament being, you know, happening the week before rotation. Where it's like, yeah, I mean, I play professionally, so I'm gonna go play in it and whatever, but I really kind of don't care because, you know, I'm already into that next format, figuring out where I'm going from here. And I can definitely see the mixed discussion on this. But at the same time, I feel like I kind of have to side with Ross here. Because on this thread, somebody had questioned, well, what about, you know, all the players that have put a bunch of time and energy into playtesting their decks and everything and aren't pro players? And his reply was a kind of snarky, what? You think we should do things for people who come to these tournaments for fun? And Cedric's point was more to do with revenues created from... Oh my god, what is it with that intersection? People make the most ungodly slow right-hand turns into that intersection. It's not like it's, small or constricted. It's just a wide open mouth. No other car there. Holy shit. Slowest fucking right-hand turns ever. Sorry. Anyway, that revenue's generated from people watching the stream and everything. Like, how many people are going to tune into SCGND? Just because it's like, well, it really doesn't matter what top 8's this tournament. Because come Monday, this format is kind of over. And the format needs reevaluated. And that's how strong a card Jace is. Not very many people seem to be putting a lot of focus on the BBE. The blood burrito. Unbanned. Okay, so quick background there. I was talking to Boot because I try to inform her of things that are going on in the Magic community and everything because it makes her feel connected. But she doesn't watch all the coverage I do. She doesn't have a Twitter or Facebook to see the articles or that kind of thing. So I was telling her about the unbannings, and Bird pipes up because, we were in the car, so Bird was listening to this too, and she's like, wait, there's a blood burrito card? And I'm like, what? Took me a solid minute to figure out she had misheard Bloodbraid Elf. So from now on, I shall refer to Bloodbraid Elf as the blood burrito. Anyway, nobody seems to care about that unbanning, for the most part. Everybody's like, oh, yeah, what? Jace? But Jace has warped the format and he's not even technically in it yet. That people have absolutely stopped caring about Modern as it is now and are instead truly focused on figuring out where Modern's going to go with this change. It's insane. Now, I guess whenever there's a banning, or unbannings, which seem to happen a lot more rarely, there's a minute of, okay, now that Splinter Twin's gone, what does that open up? Or, what's a deck that's great against the rest of the field, but wasn't getting any love because it sucked against Splinter Twin, or Amulet Bloom, or Birthing Pod, or whatever else. What do these missing cards open up? But I don't know, there just seems to be this feeling of finality here that, like, an era is ending and a new era is beginning in this format. So, I don't know. But as far as, players that have already invested time and money to go to this tournament, but they're not, like, top tier players, like, I hate to sound like a jerk here, but chances are, like, the unbanning of Jace isn't likely to change my game plan in Humans. Now, it does need some updates because the little bit I got to play it on X-Mage while managing to maintain a connection, fuck, man, Phantasmal Image, way better than I thought it was. Raven Inspector, way fucking worse. So I need to look at, like, one of these newer versions and see what I got, like, how much of these edits I can accommodate and how much I'm willing to pay into it. But if Humans has the worst win record possible against this Turbo Lands deck, which, I don't know, man, I don't think you can exploit any Jace any better than that deck does. It just seems goddamn amazing. So, let's say it's discovered that Jace, or that Humans has just an awful matchup against any deck that Jace is involved with, I'm not likely to scrap it and start over. Because one, I don't think he's going to be in the format too terribly long. I'm holding true to that. Seth over at MTG Goldfish, probably better known as Saffron Olive, gives it a year. I think he's being generous. I give it like 6 months. Unless, because again, this is one of those situations, WotC's found themselves in a lot of them over the last like 2 years, where there's no actual win for them at this point. Now this one's a little different in that if they hadn't unbanned him, they wouldn't be in this situation. But if he is as bad as the format as predicted, that's a big if. I still maintain that I wholeheartedly believe he's going to destroy the modern format, unless in Dominaria something's coming that will, just outstripe him completely, but then that card's going to completely warp the fucking format. There's just no win from here. But assuming that he is as bad for the format as it has been predicted by pretty much every content creator out there. And note, I'm not counting myself in that club. I'm back to about 10 to 15 steady listeners, so I mean, yeah, I'm creating content, but it's obviously not great content. But in any case, like, all the pro players and writers and everything, almost every one of them, the vast majority of them, believes that this is a bad call. If it goes that badly, WotC's going to be in a position where they have to make a decision to either say, whoops, our bad, we fucked up, he's rebanned. And if they do not do it before the sales of Masters 25, this is going to be more problematic, but it's going to be problematic either way. If they just say, oops, our bad, and reban him in 6 months to a year, that's going to hurt confidence. People are going to be really wary of, buying in again. Because, let's be completely honest. The vast majority of high-end players, or people who aspire to be high-end players, don't play with brews. They play with decks with a proven performance record. And also, I mean, if you really look at it now, Modern is a little bit different than, say, Standard. Okay, it's a pretty big difference in Standard. Standard, you have a smaller card pool to work with. There are only so many ways you can combine the cards to a truly efficient game plan. Right? So, to say, oh, you're playing some stupid net deck. Well, I know, I've told this story before. A buddy of mine, he was playing green-black Delirium before it showed up in the top 8s of tournaments. Like, as soon as that shit hit the street, he was on it. And so he would get accused of playing a net deck. And he's like, no, actually. Like, I'm playing the deck list I put together when spoiler season happened. And yes, there's a lot of similarities. It's because he was playing a value deck. That's the thing. Yeah, there's some great, fun, janky combos out there, but you don't see people playing them in tournaments, or at least not in the featured matches, in the top echelons of the tournaments, because they're not consistent. So yeah, the one time it goes off, it's fantastic, but every time it doesn't, you just kind of fall flat on your face. Or maybe you don't even fall flat on your face. Maybe you put up a good fight and everything while you're trying to piece it together, but the rest of your deck isn't as efficient as these proven lists, right? So to say, well, you know, people need to not get salty because they could just not run out and buy Jaces and try to play with the most broken card in the format. Come on. Especially if you're a grinder who travels for tournaments and, you know, like every weekend you're at a tournament. You're spending a shit ton of money to compete. This is like saying, well, you could just go to the Olympics, you know, having been taught gymnastics by your high school gym teacher. Nobody told you you had to pay that fancy gymnastics coach. I mean, yeah, sure, that's fair, but you're not going to win, and you fucking know it. So there are those of us aspiring FNM heroes that are content with that. And yeah, I roll into some of these tournaments only if they come pretty close and I can arrange a carpool with the guys from the shop and everything. So it's less of a hardship for me to get there. And I know I'm not going to day 2, which is why I only go to tournaments within 1 day's travel. Like that I can go there and back the same day, because I know I'm not going to day 2. I just go for the fun of it and to, you know, get to fangirl at pro players that I like. But, you know, when you're grinding, you're competing, you're playing the best cards in the format because you need to try to recoup some of that expense. So, in any case, if he is as bad as anticipated, they're either going to have to reban him within the next year, and then people are going to be salty as fuck that they bought into Masters 25, especially if he's the only truly good card in the set, or, you know, one of a handful. If he is the thing pulling the EV of the boxes up to at least level, or people who are running out and buying the singles right now while the price is way gouged. Or their other options going to be to try to ride it out as long as they can before having to admit they made a mistake, so that people can get their value out of these cards they paid for and everything, and say, okay, you know, yeah, you got rebanned, but I had a good run with them. I got my money's worth out of the, you know, what I spent to get my copies. But in that time, the modern format's going to get so fucking demolished, because if you look at it, that's what happened in Standard, is they refused to admit that a lack of a way to interact with energy was a mistake. And they just kind of, no, and they banned, you know, 1 or 2 cards here and there. And even this last time, they banned 2 cards. But it's, Aetherworks Marvel was the mistake. No. Again, this is because there's no way to interact with your opponent's energy pool. There's no way to stop them from getting the energy. You know, it doesn't matter. It took them so long to admit it, and even with the bans, Standard's still trying to recover. It lost a lot of players because people didn't want to play energy, and more importantly, didn't want to play against it. And that's what's going to happen to Modern if they're not willing to admit that they made a mistake. If it is indeed a mistake, I'm still willing to reserve that 5% doubt that maybe we're making a bigger deal out of this than it needs to be. Maybe he's not that broken. But if he is, and they try to prolong his time in the format so that they can keep that egg off their face, it's still going to be very damaging. But either way, the modern format's going to suffer. Assuming that he is as bad and unbanned as I think he is. So, I don't know. It'll be interesting to see what happens from here. Personally, I would like to see them correct, you know, quickly and just have to admit that they made a mistake, but that's because I'm not going to run out and buy Jaces. I want nothing to do with that card. It's not my style of play. It's not likely I will make the correct decisions when I need to play him to his best effect. So I'm not likely to be out anything if they reban him. That's why I say keep an eye on what decks are, and hey, maybe I'm doing SCG a favor here, on what decks are topping the format now before the unban takes effect. And when some of those decks just can't stand up to him, so they fall from grace, so the prices fall, I would recommend, once they're in range for you, don't go financing this shit on my word, but once they get in a price range that you're comfortable paying, start buying up those staples. Because chances are he's going to end up rebanned, and then the format's going to kind of snap back to where it was before he was unbanned. Because it was the last known, and it's going to take a while to restabilize. So, A, you might be able to turn a profit on some of these cards if you buy extras. B, you'll be ready to walk into that format with a deck that is doing well now, and essentially what that format's going to be. But I'm home now. I gotta go. As always, thank you very much for listening, and hopefully I'll talk to y'all tomorrow.